Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Monday. It's September 25th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And you can see on the daily chart here, pretty bullish day. Really, it doesn't look this bullish on the intraday chart. Our 2000 tick chart is really kind of a range day, but we broke out near the close and closed higher, so it ends up looking like a really bullish day. When it's not really nearly as bullish looking as that chart right there makes it look, or this bar right here makes it look. My guess is we're still working towards this measured move. We're getting really close. I mean, we're getting into the oversold territory, so a bounce here is not out of the ordinary, but we could turn right back down and head down here and test this breakout area and meet that measured move. My guess is that's what prices are still attempting to do. So we got close today, but we're still not there. We'll see what tomorrow brings, but wouldn't surprise me. We're way away from the midline, so we could bounce here. I'm just not sure what to expect, but my guess is we're still working to meet this measured move down here and test this breakout area. That would be the most logical target that we're shooting for. Doesn't mean we'll get it. I mean, we're close. So if enough buying comes in too early, we could bounce early. So we'll have to see. But certainly closed bullish today, although the entire day does not look anything like that. Let's flip over there and we can take a look at it and go from there. Okay, here's our 2000 tick chart. You can see it was mostly a range day, but you notice how we broke out and closed on the high. So it's still a range day for the most part. Um, there was some pretty good trading here earlier this morning. Afternoon, not so great. Real choppy with no consistent highs or lows. Those kind of sideways mixed trading, that kind of mixed trading is very difficult because you're not bouncing at consistent places or turning down at consistent places. So it makes it a little harder. So not nearly as many trades. Okay, sorry, I've had a couple of interruptions right off the bat this afternoon. I'm trying to get through this thing. I'm trying to do the video earlier. I'm trying to do it by 3 o'clock every day. Well, it's 4 o'clock, and I'm just now getting to do it. So it's just I have so many distractions and so much stuff going on. It's just really hard to get to it. So, but my goal would be to start on it by 2:30 or 3 every day and be done by this time and have it uploaded by 5 at the latest. So that's my goal. Don't hold me to it. I'll do my best, but that's what I would like to do every day, rather than being here late in the evening and working on it and trying to get it out before 6 or 7 every night. So anyway, let's take a look at the trades. The market opened at 7 this morning, or I usually start trading at 7, so that's about when I start uh, noting the trades. And 7 o'clock came right in here somewhere. Two sideways, it drops down. You get a break here. There is a second entry short here, but let me zoom in here. I forget to zoom in sometimes. I try to get this thing as close so we can see better, and I forget about it a lot of times. But you can see the second entry. Signal bar is no good. It's too neutral. If this would have been one tick higher, yeah, you could have gone short there on a lower high or something. Or well, it would have been this. It would have been the second entry. So nice move, but no way to get in that one. Then of course we bounce down here. You get a little channel working up. You get a break, couple legs up to a new high, and you get a little lower high right here with I think that bar is 7 ticks. Really nice signal bar. It's a little bit congested, but you got a triple top across there, so I think you got a triple test as well. I just don't. It's just hard to turn that one down. 7 ticks of risk and a triple test and a lower high, and so far we're in a downtrend. You just about have to take that trade. Uh, then we bounce down here. I wouldn't buy too congested here to buy, but real quickly you get a first entry, second entry. The signal bar does not qualify, so on a second entry alone, you cannot take that trade. However, this is a double bottom, and I see 2 legs up, so that's a failed second entry short. So if you recognize both of them, you can, as soon as that breaks above, that's a failure, and you see how it trapped people and how it rockets up real quick. That's a very nice trade there. But even if you don't see that, A few minutes later, you get a sure second entry. It's a little close to the high, but it's right off the key entry point, and we're probably working back to the high of the range, at least the midpoint. So I think you got to take that trade. It's a second entry long, right off the key entry point, and an uptrend. You just about can't turn that down. And a few minutes later, you get another second entry, same thing. This one probably has room to scalp out here, so it's even a little better than this one. But you got 3 quick trades there in a row, and if you catch 1 or 2 of them, you're probably done for the day. I mean, it'd be nice to be done by 9 o'clock every day, and that's my goal, is to be done as early as I can every day. I try to start trading at 7. With all that's been going on and my sickness and everything else lately, I was getting started a little later when I did trade, but I'm pretty much back to normal now. So I try to be in here at 7 when I can, and start trading at 7. And try to be definitely, my goal is always to be done by noon. But if you get in here at 7 and you get a day like this morning, you can be done by 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock easy. So anyway, you get a break, move to a new high. There's a lower high here, but that is just so congested, and it's right into the midline. I think you got to skip that one. Hope you get a lower high here, which you don't. There's a hidden second entry right here. Notice the low. It works up, comes back, works up again, then turns down. If you see that, it's a little congested too. That's the other problem. But if you see that, and you see that low there, there's enough room to get out. So if you recognize that hidden second entry or even a failed breakout together, you could take that trade. I'm going to mark it green because it's a little bit aggressive, but there's room to get out there. So I think you could take that trade if you recognize what's going on. And of course, it does run to a new low, and then it bounces. You clearly get 2 legs up, but you get a trend up, a break, move to a new high, and a nice signal bar, plenty of room back to the EMA. Basically, that's a triple test across there. It's really a lower high. It didn't quite get as high, but I think you could still argue that as a triple test as well. So I like that trade. Take that trade. And that's another nice move. And if you catch that one, that may be the only trade you need today. So we get a break. We trend down. There's nothing else there you can really enter. You get a little first entry on a break of the trend channel, new low, and then we're kind of working higher again, but I don't see anything to get long here on. And then you're just chopping sideways until you get a failed breakout. This is a 2-bar matching high here, and the signal bar is like 6 ticks. So you can get in that using the 8-tick rule. I like that trade. And again, boom, the bottom just falls out of it. You don't know that that's going to happen. You're just looking to ride it down to here. But if it keeps going, go with it. Try to get a runner on it. I mean, I told somebody this the other day, on range days, the only time I look for runners are on failed breakouts or at the lows and the highs. And you might treat that as a failed breakout and try to get a runner right there, because those are often important highs or lows. I mean, that was a really nice move there. So, but generally, I look for, I try, if it's a trend day, everything that sets up off the key entry point, I'm going to try to get a runner off of it. You won't get them all, but you'll catch one occasionally. If it's a range day, I'm looking for, I might try to hold a runner here to go long, or here to go short, or on a failed breakout to get long, or a failed breakout to get short, because those are often, you can see this failed breakout's the low of the day, and that is, you'll see that quite often. And then of course we had a failed breakout up here, but the market closed on us. So just keep up with those failures, and so that's kind of how I like to use a runner. So I hope that makes sense. But nice move down, then we bounce. No way to really get in this. This is tempting, but it's a first entry. It's a little congested. It's right into the midline. Just sit tight. Runs up here, just chopping sideways. I don't see anything there. You break out, you get a measured move down. This is a possibility. I didn't mark it, but because it made a new low there, so it could break and come higher and come back and you probably want to try to wait on a lower high. And we just don't get it there. But that's a possibility. That's a fairly strong bullish bar on, and you could call, and that's a double bottom. So um, you could consider that a slightly higher low because it's a double bottom. So maybe you take that one. The same thing up here. You run straight up. You fell out the other side. You move a perfect. If you drag this over, you'll see it's a perfect measured move. And then you get a lower higher. It actually breaks higher and turns down. I marked this green because it looks a little congested. I definitely would not go short right here, even though it still would have worked. If I was going to enter this, I'd enter it on the engulfing bar where you got plenty of room to get out before you get back to that EMA. Because you see it does bounce there. It ends up going on through, but sometimes it won't. And so you have to play it safe. But you get a close outside, 2 legs to a new low, and then you go higher. There's a higher low here that I liked, but it didn't break higher on the next bar, and then you got a 2-bar matching high. And so really you're using the inside bar for the signal bar at that point, and that's not a good idea, so you just can't take that trade. Again, there's another lower high here, but we're not quite to the highs. I didn't draw this trend line. Yeah, let's try it again. There's a trend line here, and that's why I don't like this one. Oops, that should be green. Because you got to go short right into that trend line, and it's a proven trend line. You're a little ways away from the EMA, and it looks a little sideways. That is a body, a bar with a tiny body, so you got at least 3 bars stacked side by side with, and at least one of those bars has no body or a very tiny body. That's congestion. It's probably forming congestion because it's above the because it's getting too far away from the EMA and it's struggling to go higher. So just because there's no rule that says you cannot enter out of congestion, but a congestion will act. All it is a miniature or a micro channel, or I'm sorry, a micro range. And what usually happens when prices break out, they fail, just like they did there. They broke lower, failed, turned up, but they turned back down again. And sometimes it'll turn up and keep going up. So you have to treat this more like a range than anything. And what happens when prices break out of ranges? They fail. So you got to be careful going short out of that range. So I just didn't mark it. You might have said, hey, there's a failure here, but you got to go short right into the EMA, and that's not a good idea. And you can't trade that as a failure. It's on the wrong side of the EMA. Maybe you call this a double top. It's real close because it's just sideways action. There's no leg there. Here's your first leg. You might call that whole thing a leg, and then first entry, a leg, and the second entry. So if you saw that, maybe if you want to be a little aggressive, you treat that like a failure, and you see it acted like one. It trapped people, and boom, the bottom fell out of it. So that's the only entry I see there. And of course we bounce, and we do get a higher low here with a good signal bar, but it's right into a double top below the EMA. I mean, it takes off like a rocket, but you just can't risk that because most of the time it won't do that. So anyway, runs up, turns down, and you never really get an entry, and next thing you know, you've made a triple bottom down here way away from the EMA with a second entry long. First entry, second entry. It's a little congested, but again, it's congested because we're finding support, and it's just like a turning point where you're running out of steam to the downside, and you're starting to pick up steam to the upside. So, but I like that trade because of the triple test, and boom, you're just trying to ride it back to the EMA, and if it keeps going, maybe you get a runner on it, maybe you get something more than that on it. But notice where it does. It turns down right at the trend line, and then you get, and this is a double bottom, so that's a new low, first entry, and then it breaks higher there, turns back down, second entry. I don't think you can go short right here. I doubt you could get in it even if you did. I think you have to trade this one on the engulfing bar so that you got room to get out there. And it runs down, actually makes a new low and bounces. So this one was a pretty nice trade. I think it's a little aggressive. It's real close to being red, but I made it green, because you need to really see what's going on there. You'd only be able to take that on an engulfing bar. I just think it's too late to enter here. I think it looks like it still would have worked. There's 6 ticks. Yeah, there's 2 points there. There's a little more than 2 points. But if you measure it to the low, you can see you don't, well, there's still enough there, but it is real close. I mean, it's real close. I didn't like, again, I don't know if you could have got in it in real time because it gaps over and keeps going there. So I don't know if you'd got your order in there in time or not. So if you didn't enter that on the engulfing bar, I'd probably skip it. So now you get a break here. You actually get 2 legs up. There's a second entry right there, but you can't go short into that trend line. You do get a close outside and a new high, and then you have no signal bar. There's a lower high here right into the EMA. Maybe you treat that as a failure and go short there. I just don't know. It's not a great setup. You don't have much room there to the lows, but this is usually acts as a trap. I'd skip it because we've had 3 of these here, and this one didn't go anywhere. This one didn't go very far, and so you see it again here. I just think you got to skip that. I mean, we're not seeing. It's like a repeat pattern 3 times there, and it's had mixed results. So I'd skip it. You get a second entry here, but signal bar is no good. It makes a triple bottom. You might take that trade. I didn't mark it in real time. It's a triple test for sure. A very bullish signal bar. If it breaks above that, you probably get a scalp out of it. We've just been going up and down, up and down, up and down here, and this one's played out. So maybe you take that trade. I'll mark it green. Runs up, you get a first entry, and then a second entry right here. I don't like it because it's right into the EMA. I think you need to wait and see if you get a reversal on this one, which you do, so you could go short right there. If you didn't go short right there, there's a second entry here, but then you've gotten 2 bars in a row with very small bodies, so it looks like congestion now, so I don't like anything else after that. You do have a double top there, but that's just and so first entry, second entry, so that you could treat that like a failure, but we're right down here at the lows and to support. Again, I just don't think it's worth risking. It ends up being a great trade, but I don't think you want to risk it. We drop down here. You do get a higher low here, but that's congestion, and it's kind of right. It's right between the low and the EMA. Maybe you take that trade. It's another one that you could mark green. If it breaks higher and you got enough room to that EMA, you probably expect it to go there. So maybe you take that trade. I didn't like it, but anyway, it runs up. You get a close outside, new high. It's real tempting to go short right there. It's really, by the counts, it's not a second entry, but it really looks like a leg up. You see we got a little break lower there, so there's your first entry. Your second entry is really right here, and you can't enter there. Now you got your break and your new high. It's a fairly bearish bar. The problem is it's really an inside bar. If you move that, you can see it doesn't make a matching high there. It's a tick lower, but it's so close. And I think we saw one of these somewhere else that looked just like that, and it ended up working out. So it's kind of a repeat pattern. It's getting late in the day, too. Maybe you take that trade. There's a real high chance you're coming back to the EMA. I mean, we've kind of bounced, turned down all the way across there. But that's really bullish. But you do have your break and new high. But sometimes you get 2 legs up. So I think you got to make it green if you mark it. So that's how I'm seeing it. The morning was the better trading today, although there's a couple of trades this afternoon. So, but it's really a range day that closed on its high. We broke out here and closed 4 o'clock on its very high, almost. I mean, we closed within a couple of ticks of the very high of the day. It's about 4:30 now, so the market won't open back till 5. So we'll see what happens after 5. But really, between now and maybe 5 o'clock tomorrow morning Central Standard Time, you can't rely on any of that data for anything more than what it's giving you currently down here, because it all changes quickly once you hit about 7 o'clock and the volume starts coming in. And that's about when it's safe to trade, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. So that's why this turns white at 7 a.m. and turns dark again at 7:30. Actually, I have this turning white at 8:30 just to tell me when the regular market's open. And then I have it turn back gray again at 2:30 just so I know it's too late to take any more trades. Don't trade after 2:30. I mean, if there's a perfect setup right at 2:31, 2:32, 2:33, yeah, you could take that. But anything after that, just skip it because it's not worth it. You'll get stuck in bad trades a lot of times doing that. But anyway, that's how I saw it today. It's just a range day with a failed break that closed on its high. Or it's not even a failed break, with a late breakout that broke out a couple of points and closed on its high. So it makes it look like a really bullish day, but in the big scheme of things, is mostly sideways. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.